Righto, everyone. We're back for episode 24 of the Lucky Dogs podcast, and we have a great guest this week, and I got to introduce him, but someone I think that has literally done everything in the sport. Bathurst 1000 win, Bathurst 500, the 12-hour, 6-hour, been on the border Supercars, owned a team for 13 years and a track as well, and we'd like to introduce Paul Morris onto Lucky Dogs.
Feel very privileged to be here, Swill.
Thanks for accepting our offer.
It's probably been a long time coming too, but obviously you and I have a lot of background and history. You probably have a little bit to do with Paul back when we first signed with Erebus, but there's probably a lot to unpack here, and I actually don't know how did the Morris family actually first get into racing initially?
It goes back to TM. So he was into cars. Him and his mates founded the Gippsland Car Club, which built the Norwell hill climb, which was quite a famous hill climb in Gippsland and Victoria, and grew up in the car club basically. So my earliest memories are going to Jim Carner's or the hill climb and doing stuff around that. And then he raced and built a home-built Zefka sports car, which is still basically in the family. My godfather still owns and runs that car. And then when we moved to the Gold Coast, Surfers Paradise International Raceway was just down the road, so obviously went there a lot as a spectator.
Yep, and I guess that's where you jumped into Geminis, I believe, is when you first started?
No, first it was Speedway. So a big thing back then was Ronnie Wannis actually started it, but they were called bombers. So you'd buy a EH Holden, a HR Holden, and put a roll cage in it, standard motor, and you actually had a passenger with you. So you took a passenger with you. So you would race this car. So and then everyone at my age sort of had one. Like if you could. You could find a car on the side of the road, and we used to knock off signposts and build roll cages out of signposts and stuff, and you could race at Surface or you could race at Archerfield. So it was quite a big thing.
So that was the rules. You had to have a passenger in with you.
You took a passenger with you, yeah.
Was there a regular passenger, or was?
Well, that's what I started off doing as a passenger, and then after about 2 or 3 races, as a passenger in Brett Funnell's car, I went, I probably need my own. And there was a car there that was for sale, EH for $200, which I bought and raced it for a couple of years.
Yeah, right. So I guess we want to, in this episode, is try and get some of your backstory. I probably don't know your whole backstory, and then get into some of the more, not controversial stuff, but all the stuff that's happening in supercars these days that you talk about. But what was your progression then? If you came through Speedway, when did you start transitioning into circuit racing and move your way through to where you raced supercars and had all this success? What was your pathway?
So Geminis, which is a one-make series, but it was pretty crude. You could buy a Gemini for $500, and you ran a bolt-in aluminium cage and put a harness in it, and you were racing. So they would have fields of 45 cars between surface and lakeside, so big fields. And again, like most people had one, it was achievable to do. Ran on a buffed road tyre.
Yeah, right.
And that was it. Yeah, got into it that way.
And how old were you then when you were doing that?
17, 18.
Oh, yeah, right.
Yeah.
You were in supercars pretty young though, weren't you? I remember watching all the...
So I did that, and then I raced Geminis for a couple of years, then Formula Ford for 3 years. And then into the BMW junior car with Alan Jones and Tony Longus were the main drivers, and they ran a third car for me in 92.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Okay.
That would have been cool teaming up with those guys back then as a youngster.
Yeah, well, especially AJ, because he was probably in his early 40s then, and a hell of a player still. Like he didn't miss many. And it was quite good fun. I was early 20s rolling around with him. It was some pretty good times.
Yeah, right. So what you raced? What year would have that been that you first got into the BMW?
92.
92. So you raced from 92, and when did you retire?
2014.
2014.
Full time was 07, I think.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Okay. So you did about 15 years full time. And how many years of that was with the family team?
10.
Yeah, right.
10, yeah.
Yep. And that was running 2 cars, not just your own cars?
We ran under the license. You could just run in 2 cars if you wanted to. So if we needed to run 2 cars, we would run 2 cars. And like some of the things I did was when control tyres first come in, like we ran a start and park car at Bathurst, and I put Owen Kelly and Aaron McGill in the car, and it mysteriously broke down after 3 laps, and we got 10 sets of tyres, you know. So we just do goofy stuff.
What a wild time was back then. But your, I guess, pathway into supercars is probably a little bit similar to mine in a way, because you went over to America in the late 90s and went and raced Indy Lights for a year. Is that correct?
Yeah, so I was basically BMW factory driver, and then at the end of 97, they pulled the pin in car racing in Australia, and I was like, oh, what am I going to do? And then at the time, IndyCar was quite a big thing on the Gold Coast, so I thought, oh, I might go over. I'm only 30, I'll go to America, I'll give it a crack. So I went and ran a year racing Indy Lights with Pac West, thinking I'd come back and do the Gold Coast street race, but it didn't quite work out that way.
Yeah, right. So it was only 1 year in Indy Lights.
Yep.
Yeah, okay. Did you?
It wasn't quite a full year. I had a pretty big shunt at Michigan Speedway and knocked myself around a bit. Probably took me 2 or 3 months to realise that I had.
Yeah, right. Was that like concussion or?
Yeah, it was definitely concussion when I look back on it now.
Yeah.
So.
And Michigan's like a 2-mile. It's huge.
Really?
Yeah, and those cars, they would have been full draft lock back then around there. They don't even race. They
used to lock wire the pads back so they had no drag. Actually, Mick Doohan was there because he'd come to watch me, him and Selena, in practice, and he just got there, and a lot of Brazilian guys racing Indy Lights, and he's rolled through the pits. No one knew who he was, but all these young Brazilian kids couldn't believe that he was there, you know.
Right. I actually had, like, when you talk about that, I had a similar thing after New Zealand. When you get, like, I don't know if you had post-concussion syndrome or whatever they call it, but you don't know for a while, and then you just start having little things go on. And
we just can't function properly.
Oh,
so I tried to race the car after that and did a pretty shit job of it, and then just end up coming home. So
yeah, right.
Were you the one that pulled the pin, or did someone else or close counsel or anyone realise that you were a bit off?
No, there was no such thing. I was slow, and I went and raced the Vancouver street race, and I was just like 2 seconds off the pace, floundering around, and I'm like, something's not right here. So then I just thought, I just got to get home and get myself sorted. So
yeah, right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you did come home, and then you moved into the back full time in Supercars in 2000, and then you got a pole, which you got given the dirtiest driver in Supercars that year.
Was that the same year?
It was the same year, first year back.
I don't know if it was the first year back. But when I first came back, I was just done with racing. I'm like, I'm just going to go do something else, just get back into work. And then Bathurst come up, and I actually went and drove for Brad Jones.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, in the Audi. So then I went back to Bathurst and then drove his Audi with Paul Radicic and went, okay, this is touring car. As long as it's got a roof over my head, I feel all right. So
yeah, right.
That's what happened.
Oh, right. And then what, did you kick off a team straight after that then for the following year?
Yeah, there was the wash-up of when the factory BMW team disbanded. Cameron McLean bought one of the cars and a heap of stuff, and another guy called Steph Zelnick, who you might know through Kenny Bull. He was Kenny Bull's best mate. So he bought the BMW and a lot of the other gear, and we just ran the BMW as a privateer team in the Super Touring Championship. That's how it started, and ended up winning the championship. I think I won it by 2 points over Jimmy Richards in the factory Volvo, and that's when I thought, this is pretty easy doing this stuff. I'll just get a V8 supercar and do the same thing.
Yeah, right.
So obviously that started 2000 was the first year you guys went in. What did you do? How did you guys go about it? You know, where'd you get people from? How did it all sort of begin?
So probably only three of us. I bought a car off Gary Rogers, which he just swept the floor with and totally just gutted the thing. So that was a bit of a shit fight, but being a used car salesman, that's what they probably do.
Yeah, I know.
And then I bought a car off a HRT car that was Mark Noski's car that Tony Noski owned, and that was quite a good car. And that's the car that had the big shunt at Oran Park.
That's the big Kev car.
Yeah, that was that VS, which now, well, that's the car that got you the ride at Eccleston's.
That's correct. That's what kickstarted my career. That car.
Did they buy it and they're rebuilding it? Is that what kind of happened?
Part of going into 2020, I wasn't sure. We'd shut down the family Super 2 team, and I went to Paul and said, I don't really know what to do. And he's like, oh, well, we can go about it two ways. Well, I'll drag the FGX out and we'll go run that and just work out how to make it all work. Or, maybe we'll call Ben and Rach. And Ben really wanted that VS because that was an old Brock Commodore, an old Lowndes.
It's a Lowndes championship winner. So he raced it up until the last two races of that 97 championship till he went to the VT. And, so he's now restored that. I don't know how much it owes him, but...
I think
it's actually done, is it?
Yeah, it's all done.
Yeah.
Oh, really? I haven't seen
done.
any photos of that at all.
It was at the launch for Team 18, I believe. Just
what
on
colours
the weekend.
is it? What's it in now?
It's in the
Back
the
in
the
mobile,
HRT mobile.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And did I hear from Ben you didn't really want to sell it, did you? You were...
I didn't really care because it just sat in the shed over the road at the Sugar Bowl for like 15. It used to be in the foyer and everyone used to go, oh, that looks quite good. Then I put it over the road and ran out of space. And then he's like, I'll run Brodie, but I want to, when you sell that car, I got to buy it.
Yep.
And then Brodie rang me and said, hey, he wants to buy it now. So to me, a deal's a deal. So I had to sell it to him. But it's he's done a wonderful job with it, and it's probably better than just sitting over the road in a shed, isn't it?
Yeah, it was pretty emotional. I remember you trying to pull it out, obviously, because
it wasn't till I got it out, and I remember Shane and Iman was there the day I pulled it out on the back of the tilt tray, and Shane came over and said, "What the hell's that thing? How'd you get out of that?" I said, I don't know how I survived that thing. And then
I remember.
It brought up a heap of memories, and I'm like, I don't know if I really want to sell that thing, but no.
We're too far down the track now. I have to.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, right. That's amazing. Another thing we had on here was where does I'm guessing it started early in your career, but where did the name The Dude come from?
It's pretty simple. I reckon 89, 1990, around that era. I used to go to America a bit with our family business back then was direct marketing. I used to go to a direct marketing conference once a year, and I went over there and I stayed there a bit longer, and the most fashionable word over there was dude. Everyone was calling each other dude. So I've come back and I've gone to Eastern Creek and I bought a set of rollerblades. It was that Winfield Triple Challenge right on at the end of the year, and I'm rollerblading around Eastern Creek, calling everyone dude. Hey, dude, how you going, dude? So I started calling everyone dude. So then I just got the nickname The Dude, and that's how it happened, just by me using the word a lot.
I cannot imagine someone these days like you roller skating through Sydney Motorsport. Mark. I cannot imagine that. Now that you say it. Yeah, right. So really, I guess, you've had a lot of success, but did that come sort of at the back part of your career, or were you winning a fair bit in the BMWs at the start as well?
That was before then. I was still in Formula Ford.
Yep.
Yeah. So
that was yep.
Yeah.
But as in the Bathurst 500 that you won, what year was that?
99.
99 Bathurst 500, the 12-hour, you won that more?
07 and 10.
Oh, you won it twice.
Yeah.
Yep. And then the 6-hour was more recent, wasn't it?
17.
17 for the 6-hour.
Yeah.
1,000 in 13 or 14?
14.
14. Yeah, right. Okay.
Yeah.
God, that's a fair bit over the years.
At 97 with Beardo, and we got disqualified.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, you won over the line.
Yep.
And what did you get disqualified for?
Beardo stayed in the car at the last stint and overdid his driving time.
Was it close?
No, it was miles over, mate. Tim Schenken even come down and said, "Hey, you're over time, you better pit him," and then they just kept on going.
Fair enough.
That was just a team decision?
I know it was a decision. It was a monumental up, but I wouldn't call it that.
At least you crossed the line first,
Yeah.
I guess.
And that was with Brad Jones and the Audi, right?
No, it was in BMW.
Oh, sorry, BMW. Yeah.
Yeah, so there was two Bathursts. There was the Bathurst, the 90 Bathurst 1000, which was the Channel 7 race, and then they had the Primus 1000 like 2 weeks later, which was the Outlaw V8 race. So there was two Bathursts for 2 years.
Far out.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
And like, did you enjoy owning a team over the years with the supercars, like all that side of it, or did it just get by the end you were sick of it, or how did it all?
No, I liked it. It was different then because there weren't teams just employing drivers except for probably HRT and Stone Brothers, maybe Larry. So I wasn't the only one with a team. Like
Yep.
Rod Nash had a team, Lansvales had a team, Brad had a team, Longest had a team. So if you wanted to go and race, you just went and got a car and you went and raced. It wasn't a big deal. So you could just go and get a level 3 franchise, and if you raced that for a year and did 60% of the races, they made you a level 2. And if you did 100% of the races as a level 2, they made you a level 1 franchise where you got more money. So someone like Brad, who came into the sport, he bought Longhurst franchise for like $100,000.
Right.
But I just went and got an off-the-shelf level 3 franchise and just raced my way to being at a level 1.
So at
franchise.
level 3, you wouldn't get any money?
No start money.
Yeah, right.
Level 2 you did, and level 3 you got. But there was 36, 37 cars turning up to try and race.
That's interesting. Yeah, I
Yeah.
never knew that was how they did it back in the day.
Yeah, that's how they did it.
And there was different, like, cars were on, there was no control compound. So there was cars on different tyres and all sorts of stuff going on. And like back then in the, like HRT and some of the other big teams, they used to go tyre testing just with like 2 containers of tyres.
Oh, yeah, it was great. Like hearing some of the stories from back then.
Yeah, open tyres were good, but if you had them, you were good. Some tracks they worked, some they didn't. But the first control tyre was actually a Bridgestone, which was a really good tyre.
And what was the year of the first year of the Bridgestone control tyre?
I'm going to say 99, I think.
Wow, that early?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
99, yeah.
Yeah, right.
Could be wrong, but I reckon I'm right.
Yeah, okay. I think I may remember watching some races around Calder where they're just locking fronts everywhere. Was that a pretty hard tyre back then, 99?
It was better than a Dunlop hard. I reckon it probably round QR maybe 7-8 tenths better than a Dunlop, but it was less prone to locking than a Dunlop.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. Far out. What about one thing I wanted to ask is the Tony Longhurst when he came up and like, did he punch you through the door?
Yeah,
Was that right?
yeah.
What was that like? What happened after that? Because you see all the camera of that, but I'm more back in the pits. Was it just like, oh yeah, it is what it is? Or
Yeah, well, he was basically my boss, right?
yeah, true.
Yeah, because he basically his team and all his deal, and I was just like hit the fence. And the time I woke up and looked across the thing, he's already out of the car. Like if you see the incident, like he's got the belts off and out the door before the thing's even stopped, and he's just throwing haymakers through the door. Oh, you're a fucking idiot! And then we went to a steward's hearing, and he got fined $10,000, and.
But after there was no nearly back in the pits, nearly another one on?
No,
No, it was casual.
no,
it was
it's
just heat of the moment, just came
Well,
up.
his nickname's Shortburst, right? So that's why. And I'm pretty similar, fiery like Tony.
Yeah,
So,
that's what I thought.
yeah,
But I'm surprised you just copped it.
yeah, no, it wasn't a big deal, mate. Like we'd done a lot together, and he was really good to me when I
Yep.
first came into his team, and we went and raced in New Zealand together, won the Wellington 500 street race, and things like that. So yeah, no, I respected him and
Yep.
learned a lot from him.
It pretty much just quickly get to the stage it was a laughing matter.
It wasn't a laughing matter because
No.
we had 2 wrecked cars, and
True.
and the people that were really upset about it were BMW because they were like backing the team quite heavily, so they were the ones who were a bit upset about it.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
that
they're
makes sense.
quite hard to fix those cars. They're not exactly user friendly.
Yeah.
A lot of work that goes into
now,
them.
Benson and Hedges, which were Tony's sponsor, they loved it because the amount of coverage
Amount of
they
coverage.
got, and it was their last year of being able to sponsor cars in motorsport, so it's quite good for them.
I just kind of love it when you get to like all the big races each year. They play like that. They play who was it up the top of Ambrose, and that they play all the controversy and like the one of scaife weaving. And then now, if you did any of that, you would be done straight away. But they love all that side of it, don't they?
Yeah, and I used to, like, no word of a lie, I'd get a phone call or interview like once a year, get some American TV show, ring up and like, when things go wrong or something, and they'd come and interview you and make it all funny. So
yeah, right.
It still gets played.
Now, talking about, I guess, some highlights surrounding the team, I've got to know some of the people that used to work for the team, like Les Small, James Small.
Yeah.
You've had Paul Sepranich, which is Pace Innovations. There's been a lot of really good people that have worked, I guess, under you, or I guess alongside you, working for PMM. Is it pretty cool to see them, especially like Smalley going over to America and, having so much, I guess, success over there?
Yeah, James is a good one because he just started coming along when he was at university, just as a data engineer, and picked up on some pretty bad driving habits I developed straight away. So it was like, oh, right, I better sort that stuff out. And then you just knew that he had his dad's brains, but not his dad's temper. So, but clever guys, and then he brought all those that core group of guys he went to university with, like Hulkie, Brad with shoes on, Scalzo.
Yep.
So a lot of those engineers that are there now, they come in that core group with James, and they just designed and built me a whole new car. Like, it was like, yeah, let's go at it, boys, and they did a really good job. And we actually went to the wind tunnel and Shaker Rig in North Carolina. We did some pretty cool stuff.
Yeah, and I guess then it transitioned from you became a customer to 888, and when they swapped over from Ford to Holden, and you did a deal with them because they needed, engine components, designs and, whatnot. So you traded, I guess, your engine program for some cars back then, I believe?
Yeah, so we were building our own chassis and engines. Simon McNamara come to me and said, RD, we're at Darwin. He said, come and have a meeting with RD. And he said, oh, look, we need motors. I said, okay, do you want to do a deal on motors? He said, well, you give us motors, we'll give you chassis. I said, yeah, but our stuff's pretty good. And Russell was driving for me at the moment, and he was convinced that if he got a 888 car, that's all he needed. But after the first test day, he goes, I think the old one was a bit better. And I reckon it was, because we only got one 888 car for the first round in the Middle East, and Murph had to drive the PMM car. And Murph was front row, disappeared in our old car with Adam DeBore engineering it. So I reckon, looking back on it, that James Small and those guys did a pretty good job. We just had two old drivers.
Yeah. What year was that in?
2010.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
And how long did you keep them? When did they finish up with the team?
2012.
Yep.
Yeah.
So right.
Yep. So I guess that was, I remember you talking about a decision, and I believe it was keeping Russell or putting, I believe, Steve Owen in the car.
No, I retired, and I wanted to put a young guy in the car.
Yep.
Because I did my last round at Oran Park, and I finished 7th or 8th. I thought, well, that's as good as I'm going to go. It was pretty clear that if I wanted to keep the team, I needed to find someone young and fast. And I ended up with Slady, right? And Slady just rang me every day. Like, you could not put him in the car. It wouldn't have mattered. You just had to go, if you got that much determination, I'm going to put you in the car. So I had 2 super cheap cars, one with Russell Lingle in it, one with Slady in it, and got to the end of the year. We rode off a bit of shit at the start of the year, but by the end of the year, he was beating Russell. The last round at Homebush, he was clearly going to be the way forward. And then Super Cheap went back to one car, and we got a Castrol car, some Castrol backing, and Castrol wanted to put Murph in the car, and I wanted to put Slade in the car, And I even had Roland come down with me to Sydney to meet with the bigwigs of Castrol and try and pitch why we needed this young guy in the car. And they wanted the name of Greg, and I couldn't keep Slady, and he went to Stone Brothers and went on to be quite quick. And I just ended up with two old blokes in the car, which, no disrespect to them, but they just weren't fast enough.
I'm sure it gets that stage. So then you just, after that was pretty much around the time, within a year or two of when you closed down the team.
That's when I just got frustrated with it. I was like, you know what? I got commercial backing, the team's self-funding. We're in a really good spot, but I cannot choose the driver.
Yeah. And
an older driver who's got commercial pool can keep the seat warm, and that's basically why I'm like, this is not for me. And at the same time, Archer Capital came along, and we're like, hey, you know, if you sell your team, you're going to end up with about $12 million. I went, well, that sounds pretty good to me.
Yeah, right.
I'll go and do something else.
and back in that time, what was the value? Was it all in the Rex then?
It was in the Rex, and also there was a car of the future payment worth about 1.5 a car as well, which it ended up to be enough money where you could go, well, hey, I've done this for a while, I can exit out, and that's sort of what I did. So then I sold one franchise to Lucas Dumbrell. And then one to Steve Brayback from Crimsafe.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Okay. Yep. Went out and then but that would have been leading into 2014 when you started.
2013.
So I went and did. Then when I sold the last franchise to Lucas, I went and worked for him and basically ran the team on the weekends and helped him with a bit of commercial stuff and drove with Scotty Pye at the Enduros.
Yep.
And then I think, like Scotty Pye got sacked like 4 times at Bathurst.
What team was it? Was that with Pet?
No, it was Lucas.
LDM. That's right. Yeah. Yep.
But then we ended up having a good Bathurst. I said, mate, don't worry about that. If Lucas is going to sack you, I'll go too, and he can find 2 blokes to drive the car. And then I said, and Holke was engineering it, so there's about four key guys there that we just got on with the job. We ended up coming 7th at Bathurst, and it was like, okay, that's not a bad result.
And then at the end of that year, what made the switch to FPR? It would have been at the time, I'm sure.
If you remember, Chaz had that huge shunt in the DJR car in qualifying.
Yep.
In 13.
Yeah, yep.
And then he was at FPR, and basically my relationship with Rod's like, hey, can you come along and drive with Chaz? And it's more about a mentor role, you know, just teach him how to race that race.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, and that's all it was. So Chaz was wide open and was either going to win or crash, right?
Yep.
So it was just putting some fundamentals around Chaz and helping him. And that's sort of how I got the job.
Yeah, right.
That makes so much sense. If you know Chaz, that's just his demeanour.
He's never changed over the years, has he? Really?
Well, he's changed.
He has, but he goes hard.
He does go very hard. Like the start of races, and like you're trying to bring your tyres in, and Chaz just go flat out.
Yeah. But that first time we thought, so mate, it's lap 161. That's our motto. The first thing I said to him, 161, because Sandown's 161 laps and Bathurst is 161 laps. And right to this day, every time he sees me, he goes 161.
Yeah, right.
That was just what we always spoke about.
Yep.
And then he took the lead on the 3 corners to go on lap 161. Won the bloody thing.
See, that's such a obviously iconic moment. They were always playing that race. You hear so much as a driver over the years because it was around the car of the future time when they'd just come in, and a lot of people over the years were saying that you hated the car or something like that weekend. It was not that good to drive at the start or something, or
no,
over the time.
I was just old and slow, mate. That's just I was 46 and Chaz is 21. The thing was just loose and fast, and I'm like, man, I'm not happy in this thing here. And then DeBoer tightened it up a bit and got it a bit comfortable, but I just had to slow down.
Yep.
Which was okay.
Yeah.
It worked out all right.
Oh, 100%. Got there in the end, got the win.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, you can see why. I remember hearing from Paul, I think it was the first time in 2018 when I was racing Super 2 and I was racing my cousins and whatnot, and Paul come up to me and told me I did a good job, but I was obviously in my Santa suit at the time. Do you remember my Santa suit?
I remember that.
I was actually 2019. And then Paul had some choice words, but see how he doesn't dance around the problem? Like when there's an issue, he's just straight to the point.
Oh, that's right. You see that over the years. Don't worry. I've definitely noticed that. Oh, that's good. Well, I guess we'll skip forward to a bit more of the current era now. I'd like to talk about, I guess, all the young guys you brought through, Nash as well in the next thing, because when I first met you and Nash wasn't even interested in racing. Like, I remember coming down with Anton and he'd just bang around and have some fun, but he wasn't gonna do anything in racing. Never planned it, did he?
No, you couldn't get him out of his room.
Yeah, I remember that. He'd play video games, we'd come down, go out for a drink, and the joke used to be he found out girls like race car drivers when he first started driving, wasn't it?
That is a true story because Anton was living in the house next door, the guest house, and Nash would go, "Why are there always those girls' cars over there?" And I'm like, "What do you mean, mate?" And a girl's car for him was like a little white Getz or something, The young girls always have the same car. And I was like, and then he's worked it out, And he worked out like Anton's, and he goes, "Oh, those race car drivers get plenty of birds, don't they?" I said, "Well, I reckon they do, mate." So then he was like, "Oh, I'm going to be one of them."
That's awesome because, I'd go down there and I'd be like, he was never keen, and then all of a sudden he's rolled out like, "I want to go race cars." And I was like, where'd that come from?
It's similar, and Brodie was living there at the time, and you guys were around a bit, and you'd wake up on Saturday morning and there'd be dead bodies everywhere.
Oh, that is funny. Yeah, you'd nearly say the first public one. I'm sure you've helped a lot of guys before this and young kids, but would have been Anton. That was the big one that you started the Super 2 team up then when Anton moved in, and that was a bit random because he came back from overseas. I knew he was really successful overseas and that, but then he went straight in with you in an FGX, did he? And how'd that all come about?
Larko rang me and said, "I've got this kid. I've been advising him. He's been in Europe. He's back home. We want to put him in a Carrera Cup car. Can you just see what he's like?" So he just turned up with Michelle, his mum, and then within 10 minutes, I was like, "Oh, I got something special here, And then I said, "What do you want to do?" And he says, "I want to go supercar race." And I said, "Well, what's the point of driving a Porsche?" And within 20 minutes, we'd worked out what we were going to do. So they had a modest budget, and I had a car sitting there, and I thought, well, let's just go and do it. Yeah.
And then did that just kickspark everything that you thought, "Oh, well, I'll keep getting kids through and help them out and start rolling from there"?
Pretty much, because that feeling where you win, right? That winning feeling is why you do it, right? Yep. Be competitive and challenge yourself, and like when you get a trophy, it feels good, right? and everything else you do in your life, you try and replace that feeling. It's not the same. You'll find out one day. But it's pretty similar when someone else drives your car.
Yep.
So and you can play a big part of that, and it's the closest you get to actually doing it yourself that makes you feel that good,
Yeah, no, that was cool.
And I guess when did the race coaching end up starting when you first got a bunch of 86? Because I think you started off with 1 or 2 86s to do the coaching.
Yeah, we had I always did coaching back to my relationship with Frank Gardner, who built Norwell and all that. So I'd done a lot of coaching with him and coached some people always who wanted some help. But where it really kicked off is we bought a Toyota 86, and straight away that just became obvious that you could take coaching to another level, because you could actually just had a tool for the job that was inexpensive to use, and it translated to what you did on the racetrack.
I remember when I first went out to Norwell, it was like 2018. Remember when we drove the locked diff Commodore?
The spool school?
Yeah, the spool school car. So it was a VF, VE Commodore.
Still there.
Yeah, it's still there. And And Paul's like, come in and, have a drive of this. I'm like driving around and it's obviously like really foreign, right? Because you're just in a Commodore that's got, lock diff and whatnot. It's pretty stock otherwise, right?
Yeah.
And we're driving around and then he jumps in and drives it and is just fanging this thing. And I just felt like I was going to, like, it's got that much body roll to the point where it feels like you're going to roll over. Yeah. And that was like when I first started.
Oh,
when I first started,
it was like heaven back in the day. I remember 2017. You roll in, you'd wet half the track, we'd wet half of it, and then you'd all roll in, take turns, and then the shootout would roll in for the afternoon, and then you'd go skid pan 2 shootout, and there'd be about 10 of us there. It still looks like you do that a fair bit, but you literally couldn't pay for that sort of, I guess, experience at that age. Like when we used to go down there, you'd want to go out and try and test, but it was too dear to test. So how do you do it? So I remember shooting down there heaps with Anton when I co-drove with him. Actually, would have been 2017. He ran with you. 2018 straight into Erebus.
It's just a good tool, and look, the reason why the coaching and the product comes out of there is everyone's input, right? Because as you said, everyone's there.
Yep.
So you could quite often be there in an afternoon and the top 10 drivers in Australia are there, just like a band would jam, right?
Yeah. And everyone's
like
competitive.
you got all the rock stars in the world just picking up and playing instruments. You've just got everyone there helping each other. But the most competitive person was always Shane.
Yeah,
Van
right.
Gisbergen, wasn't he? He drove that coaching thing to another level because he just did not want to be beaten. So he would drive with everyone. He'd look at everyone's data. He'd examine every tyre. And the detail he went into just lifted everyone.
Yeah, right. And how many people would still be going? Like, do you guys still do the shootouts often?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Whenever we've got a group of coaching people there, we'll try and do a shootout in the afternoon because it just puts people under pressure and it exposes what they do when they're under pressure. So it's just good practice to be put under the blowtorch.
100%, because when you're young, you go to a test day in Super 2 and you do 5-6 laps and you get better and better. But I remember when you're young, you make a mistake and you'd go out and do your shootout and you get 1 lap. It was always 1 lap. And you'd make a mistake and you'd be like, oh, I can't do another lap. I've lost this already. So it pretty much prepared you for a lot of stuff because, you wouldn't – I remember Super 2 and still they do it. They roll out and do 5 laps for qualifying, don't they, by the time they get up to it, where for us now you got to –
You haven't watched the Super 2 race in a while, have you?
I watched a few. What are they, just doing 1 lap, are they?
Yeah, they're into it now.
Yeah, right. They're into it.
They're not as wobbly as what we were.
Yeah, I'd do 3 or 4 laps to try and get to it.
Yeah.
But
but I think that's the way you got to be now, right? Someone does it, you got to lift to that level.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. Definitely noticed that. I remember you'd rolled out, and then that's when I really noticed Nash, because Nash started driving, we rolled down, then he beat us, and we're like, what's happened here? He never used to even drive, and then he just came out of nowhere into running the 86s around there all the time, and then he sort of, just fell in love with it, like he's keen to do it all now?
That does Brodie. I'd try and stay out of it. He doesn't talk to me.
It all started with an XL. He went XL racing and then did a couple of races with those. And his first couple of races were just like hilarious because the motor in it was terrible. Remember the flywheel was falling off?
Rubbing on the bell housing.
Yeah, the flywheel was rubbing on the bell housing. So
I tried to make it that difficult. He
wouldn't do it. Yeah.
Yeah, like, right, if you want to do, I was the opposite to most dads. I was like, right, that's just give him the worst experience and see if he wants to keep going.
And that's literally what it was. Like, it was so funny because I remember watching some of his first races at QR, and he'd just be getting flogged by like 5 or 6 cars in a straight line, and then you just see him. Obviously, he's been hanging around like Shane, Chaz, myself, Brock, Anton, all these guys at Norwell. So then you see him like under brakes, and he's just like passing 5 or 6 cars at a time, like under brakes. Paul's up there on the radio, like going, mate, take it easy, just take it easy. It was like, give me the headset. I'll talk to him.
After a while, he thought we better get him a motor and help him out here.
Yeah, not too good a one, but I didn't have much to do with that anyway. And really through COVID was like the XL World titles at Norwell. Nash and Brodie built one, and Brock had one, and we went and did that. Oh, you were in it when you wrote that car off at Townsville. So we had nothing to do except make XLs the fastest things. By the time Brodie had finished with XLs, they were like, no one was drooping them out before he come along.
Yeah.
Brodie's got all this droop going on and different toes on each side of the car. And
Yeah, we had a bit going on, but it was actually a good time during COVID, I guess, for like the guys that were hanging around Norwell's, because everyone was sort of locked up, but we're all going to work, weren't we? Like we're all going to work and driving.
Yeah, we were. Well, it was Husey and his dad. Who else was there? Connor Roberts. There was probably 10 kids that would just bring their XL down, and we got noise restrictions at Norwell, so we come up with this stock Norwell muffler that you have to put on your car, and we just have mock races and shootouts and just drive around. And I remember we were there one day, this cop car rolls in and goes, "What are you doing?" And I goes, "Mate, we're at work."
I knew the story was coming.
Because what are you doing? I said, "Mate, we're brake pad testing, endurance brake pad testing." He said, "What are you doing that?" And myself and Ryan McLeod owned Project Mu at the time, and we had the international rights for Project Mu racing pads. And I said, "No, we're a brake pad manufacturer, mate. We've got another 48 hours of these things to do." Look, really? Yeah. But all those kids work for you. I said, "Bloody oath, mate, so don't disturb them." And he drove off, and then he come back about 2 hours later, and he drove back in. He goes, "I don't know if that's going to fly with command. So if any of these guys get caught on the way home, just tell them they're at the supermarket."
Oh, that's awesome. So that was our whole 2020 was pretty much every weekend we were doing time attack stuff and, I guess, time attack and who could do the fastest lap around Norwell with XL. So Rylan Gray's dad was actually one of the funniest. Remember some of the intakes and stuff he'd show up with?
Oh, the different intakes, yeah.
Yeah.
Got it innovative. And then Paul Feeney was very competitive.
Yeah, I can see that.
He'd have it. It'd be like, because we couldn't run after 5 o'clock, right? And we had timing. We had my laps timing. And that'd be going on. And Feen would have a set of greens there all ready to go. And at like 4:59, he'd roll out and put these greens on Brock's XL, and he'd go out and do one lap screamer and knock everyone off by half a second, and no one could respond, you know.
Oh, happy hour always 4:59. Yeah. I remember seeing that just on Instagram. I was sitting up in Toowoomba probably selling used cars. I was like, look at these guys. I remember you were building the cars. And did Roland build one or Jess built one at the time?
Yeah, Kenny Mack had the dyno going because he had nothing else to do. So he had XL motors on the dyno.
I remember I thought I got to roll up, so I rented that one, got T-boned at turn 2, overcorrected into the fence, and I was out lap one, I think I was.
Goes to show, mate, shortcuts lead to long delays.
Yeah, that's right.
Are you still paying that thing off or what?
Oh, I think it cost me I should have just bought it.
15.
I think it was something like,
I remember you were pretty upset about it at the time.
Yeah, well, I just put a deal together, at the time. I was like, yeah, I'll go and run an XL. It'll be a bit of fun. And then this thing's just absolutely, I should have just bought it at the end of the day and just kept it. But it would have cost me 12, 13 grand, something like that to fix an XL. And then they went through the roof. Everyone was charging 40 grand for it.
That was our fault, apparently.
Yeah. I don't think apparently. I think it was. Oh, we should get into our ad reads quickly. So thanks some of the sponsors that help us put all these podcasts together. So I'd like to thank KMC Wheels for coming on board, which is Wheel Pros Australia. They have brands such as Fuel Off-Road, Rotiform, American Racing. Got plenty of great options in all wheels. If you're running, a sports car, classic, or an off-road, they can definitely get you sorted. So make sure you head in and see those guys. They've also given away a merch pack that we'll be giving away with a Hoonigan bag, KMC Wheels hoodie, and a couple of other goodies in it. So head to their Instagram or head to wheelpros.com.au today and find the perfect fit for your car.
Yeah, we'd also like to thank everyone at Lancaster Motor Group as well, been long-time supporters of Will and myself, and also for the podcast now. So Lancaster Motor Group is a go-to destination for a brand new or pre-owned vehicle or expert servicing and parts that you deliver across multiple brands So get into the guys at Lancaster and tell them that Lucky Dog sent you, and you'll get to win a merch pack, which is really cool. We've actually got some new merch pack out now on the website, and you go on the draw to win a hot lap with either myself or Will if you're going to get your car serviced or buy a new or used car. So visit the guys at lancastermotors.com.au.
Perfect. Well, I think that gets us into the current era. So you're obviously pretty influential, I would say. People love your Instagram videos. I've noticed that.
Yep.
I keep up to date on them and all the supercars stuff. So what do you reckon lately? I guess we'll get into driving standards. You like the new way they allow more stuff to go?
No, I don't.
No.
No, I still think there's too much interference from the referee.
Like they should let more go?
I don't think they should get involved at all unless one of the two guys has got a problem. I think if you can sort it out yourselves, you should be able to sort it out yourselves. If you can't, then
Get them in.
Then get someone involved.
So kind of like Perth Stadium super trucks. You can.
No, well, you got to think of how we used to race. Like I raced against Peter Brock and Colin Bond and those sort of guys. And if you did something wrong, you got turned around and you got sorted out, and it didn't take long for it to find a pretty good level. So, I'd just let you guys work it out, you know.
Yeah, I find that because when I went over and did those NASCAR races, everyone talks about how NASCAR is so crazy, but I didn't find that actually in the race. I found that everyone had a lot of respect for someone until they did something wrong to them, and then they would sort it out. So it was sort of like you didn't want to do anything to someone unless you were knew you were going to get it back. You know what I mean?
Well,
So
it's impossible to police that whole field fairly unless you had 10 beardos.
Yep.
Right? So you can only pick up some of the stuff you can see, and quite often in back play you're just mugging each other. Unless someone throws someone under the bus, they're not going to pick it up, are they?
Yeah. Yep.
So that's why you get a different racing at the front to the back. But you got to remember, they never used to have in-car cameras in every car, and there never used to be someone looking at everything you did. And we all went car racing, and it was good.
Yeah.
Some of the best racing we ever have. So, don't know, I'm almost old and silly, but that's how I'd want to see it roll.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
I'd probably agree with that. Like, it's hard to, like, there's obviously some respect between competitors out on the field, but probably, like you said, everything gets interfered with so much. It's almost like, what can you get away with? Is sort of the attitude, not necessarily.
Well, you're thinking about it in the car all the time. You do think, what can I get away with now? Because back, like I think we said it earlier, you go back 3 years ago, you'd really bump someone and move them at all, and you're like, oh, there's a 5, 10, 15, whatever. It's a 5-second penalty minimum if you pretty much made contact with them. And now you're starting to go, well, I got a little bit of a run on this guy. Can I shuffle him here and not get a penalty? So you're sort of always you're playing chess in your head the whole time to work out what you can actually get away with to move forward. Because I guess you've probably seen I haven't qualified that good lately, so you have to actually do a few things to get through. And you've got to work out these days what that is allowed to actually, what plays you can actually make.
And I feel you guys probably have a good handle on where that is. But for me, when I watch the broadcast, the broadcasters just focus on who's getting what penalty.
Yeah.
So if you're sitting in the booth and you're calling the race and this person's got a 5 and he's got a 10 and he might get that, I'm like, what are we watching?
Yeah. Yep.
That's
a good point, actually. Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting. I've been trying to watch back some of the, and Berto does a fantastic job of it, but it is becoming one of those.
Everywhere.
Yeah, but that's right. But also, it's trying to let some things go because he plays a really good job of tit for tat or that sort of thing. But it's hard to keep that rolling for so long. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and there is a disjoint there because he's the driving standards guy who's meant to advise the stewards, but it's pretty clear the stewards really don't know what's going on. So we're lucky he's in there because he keeps things flowing and going along, but he can't be everywhere.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, because once it goes past him to the stewards, it's a whole different book, basically, at the moment.
Well, it is, but then he advises them anyway.
Yeah.
So you get into the room and he's going to say what he thinks to the stewards, and you'd have to have a pretty strong case to convince the stewards otherwise, wouldn't you?
Yeah, that's true.
You walk in and Berto gives his opening statement and you straight away know if you're screwed or not. You're like, yeah, no, this one's not going to go good for me. Like, you know what I mean? Because he does. He obviously advises them a lot, but they do take his word for it, which that's what he's there for, isn't he? At the end of the day.
Yeah, tough job. But, I'd hate, out of all the people that have done that role, and I've seen a lot, he's by far the best we ever had. I don't know. What do you think would happen if you just said, you boys sort it out?
Well, I think some cars. Well, I think some cars would be hanging out the fence for about one race, and then it'd be all a different story. Because I grew up racing like that in America, where if you put someone in, you're going in. So like you quickly learn if you don't want that to happen.
Well, I reckon it would roll on for three or four rounds. You know what I mean? It's like Chaz got me at Grand Prix. I'd probably make sure I pay one back. You know what I mean? Like it'd go on for a couple of rounds.
Unless you could do a deal with him.
Well, that's right. But that's where
we used to do
get
deals. If I'd messed you up, and I'd be straight down to you before you got out of the car and go, mate, that's on me. You got one coming. You know, next time you saw that person in the race, no in front of you, you'd be like, off you go, mate.
Yeah.
That you just used to work it out.
Yeah. Well, that's what it would come down to, and also you wouldn't want to, you know, someone gets you get them back, and if they're going to come get you back, at some point somebody has to go, oh, well, actually we've got to get on and try and win some races here. So it would play out in the long run, but it just depends for the big races at the end of the year what happens there. Like I guess it's once again one, you know,
good point.
There's team cars now with the way the finals system works. It opens up a lot there because, you know, you get away with a lot more. If there's not penalties for the final system, you probably would play a little bit more of that team tactics, wouldn't you?
Well, yes and no, because
it's coming back again if you do something.
Because if you have, like, for example, one car, or if you have two shell cars up the front, and then one car starts to block for the other car, you can block pretty successfully and lose a lot of lap time. You know, you could lose 5 seconds a lap without breaking too many rules. Well, pretty much without breaking any rules for at least 2 or 3 laps before you get a flag. And if the car behind that one who's fighting, say, for example, the first shell car, well, then if he does anything to that car, you know, against the rules, that car's getting a penalty.
Yeah. Where if you took all this away, they wouldn't be getting a penalty.
No,
so that you're not going to block that hard.
Yeah, right, because you just end up in the fence.
Yeah.
I used to give people 3 corners. They block me for 3 corners, I'll get moved.
I'm guessing that's with a triple D, the dirty, dangerous dude.
Dirty, dangerous dude. That's fair, though.
Yeah. And then if I drove away from you, I was good. If you could drive back up to my bumper again and get back to me and move me back out of the way, well, fair enough. But if you hold me up that much and I move you out of the way and I drive away from you, that should be play on.
Yeah, yep. Yeah, I think it's going the right way.
Yeah.
I reckon like that. There was just that one race at Sydney that they let go with Cam and obviously not let go, but they loosened it up, and then I think it's been going the right way ever since then. But there was a fair few penalties given out at Grand Prix, wasn't there? Like I was watching the races after, and there was a lot given out there.
My mirror couldn't zoom back that far.
Yeah, and it was hard to know what it was for because obviously they're looking at things that you can't see on the broadcast.
Yep.
So you're trying to decipher all that.
Yeah.
It's pretty simple. At the end of the day, why did they loosen up the racing so we could have more opportunities of passing and create a better product for people watching at home, and it's done that. So,
oh yeah, definitely. Yeah, it's made it. The racing on TV, like Grand Prix, watching those races back were pretty cool races.
Yeah, you got some of the best drivers in the world. Like you guys, if you've got to that level, there's only 24 of you. You know what's right and wrong.
Yeah.
I reckon you guys could work it out.
Yep.
And if you go and watch a high-level sprint car race, there's no one there telling you how to drive the car. It just, sometimes it goes wrong, and that's why people come to watch it.
Yep.
So just let it rip.
Speedway's actually a perfect Speedway's a perfect example of it, actually, to be honest. Like, you've obviously watched some sprint car racing, but I follow it obviously a lot and have been racing and whatnot, but the respect between all the guys out there, and sometimes it does go wrong, and then sometimes they do want to go fight, and, you know.
You don't get so focused on fighting over this little bit of road right now. It's like, let's just keep going and keep having a good race and then let it sort itself out. But that's just my take on it. But
yeah, everyone's got. I think it's they've been doing a good job of definitely.
But you've never driven where there's no one looking at you what you do. You probably, since you started racing 86s, there's always been someone telling you how you should race your car.
Well, pretty much, yeah, over the years. But you are definitely scrutinised. You accidentally bump something down the road, you look up at the TV and you see you're on TV and you're like, oh, well, I might get done for that.
I've even got forms for it, mate. Request for instant investigation form. Yep. And even in the driver's briefing or you go and do an 86 race or an XL race or something, and here's the form you can fill out if you want to dob on someone. It's like, what? They should just thrown in the bin, mate. Just
go back to the old days.
Imagine going to the Speedway and filling out a request for investigation form. Someone drove near me. Can you please check it out?
I do. Do you remember, for example, karting is the exact same with they've got. Did you race with drop down bumpers or not? Was that?
No, that was after me. I never had any.
Do you remember racing in karting? If you block for 3 corners, you were coming back on the cart trolley, walking back, and your dad's yelling at you, coming back. But now they've got the drop down bumpers, and it's this culture now all the way through, all the way through karting almost. Yeah. It's you can't, and it's I don't know.
Well, in the States, you don't block.
Yeah, you don't.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's hey, no blocking. And if you're blocked and you get moved, well, that's on you. So no one blocks, and the racing's normally pretty good.
Yeah. You sort of are a little bit protected. As long as you don't move under brakes now, blocking, you can get away with it. Because all they can do really is hopefully switch you back or hit you in the rear bumper, and that's still a problem. Yeah. So the blocking is the hardest thing because generally you get overlap, you can shuffle someone out of the road, but it's pretty much just front to rear contact is still a 5-second penalty.
Yeah, if we got rid of that, it would make a pretty big difference.
Yeah, well, potentially.
So what are you going to do if there's no penalty and you come into the last corner at Bathurst and you're on someone's bumper? Are you moving them?
Oh, 100%. Because then I'll take the one back later for a Bathurst win. I can tell you that much. No, get me back, buddy, next event. I don't care.
What do you mean the next event?
That will be the argument.
It'll be the next 6 years.
Yeah. Oh, that's fine. I've got a Bathurst win. I just hope that guy retires or something happens in that time. But it would be hard if you could get away with it.
Yeah.
It'd be hard. You wouldn't probably not shuffle him at the last corner. You'd have to be a pretty good bloke.
But there's guys in NASCAR that wouldn't. Guys that wouldn't.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is.
Martin Truex wouldn't do it. I'm not going to win a race that way.
Yeah. Depends on what type of person you want to be.
Yeah.
And that's it.
Which box do you want to be?
Yeah, that's a hard one.
And you look at the ones that are the most successful on an average, and they never did that.
Yeah, right.
Really, when you look at it.
Painted myself in a bad picture, but I'm still thinking I'm going to do it. I can't get it out of my head. No, that's fair enough. And you guys have both been pretty vocal on the wheels. What, update on the wheels with the supercar? Obviously, we've had a lot of interlocking.
There is an update.
There is an update?
There is an update.
Saw an update there.
Paul got the update.
Yep.
Yeah, I did a social media thing about it, was talking about it, and Tim Edwards sent me a message and said, just for your information, there's a new wheel design and they're on their way and the first container's been sold. And I'm like, oh, how come no one knows about that?
Yeah, right.
So that surprises me that supercars aren't on the front foot about that sort of stuff.
Promoting that they've done it. There's a lot of people have been quite vocal about it.
Yeah. So either the teams know and haven't told the drivers or I don't know. But you guys knew nothing about it?
I knew nothing about it till I watched your Instagram thing and I thought, oh, that's interesting. But then I was trying to work out I guess just logistically what happens then. Each team's going to buy one or two sets to start with, or what's a shipping container? How many's in a shipping container? I guess
it wouldn't matter, mate. It's how much damage have we done to the brand?
Just
and
think about it.
Not even the damage to the cars, just the damage to the brand.
Yep.
Of you've designed this car that you should be able to race side by side, but you actually can't. Sometimes you just got to admit that, hey, we got this wrong, and just cut your losses.
Yeah, I remember back in 2023, I brought up after we did in the first couple of races, and obviously it was the first thing I got told was it was a big cost to do a change. But you think about the damage at Grand Prix for that last race that was caused from interlocking wheels.
Yeah. Well, you try and hit
the container's looking pretty cheap.
How much is a front splitter, front bar?
Oh, 10 or 11 grand?
Yeah, the deer.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
There's 10 sets, there's 10 wheels.
But yeah.
Well, that's true.
Yeah, that's it. See, now it's cheap.
And you do three, what do you do, 2 or 3 splitters around?
Depends.
Mid-pack?
Yeah, if you're mid-pack, you're doing 2 or 3 around.
So your splitter bill around 25, 30 grand a car.
Yeah.
I think you can buy some wheels.
Yeah.
I guess they're just trying to cut back on all the costs there. Well, another thing that I want to talk about was the rookies coming in. What do you think of all the rookies? Because that has been, I guess you spoke about it earlier. And it was nearly till recently. You used to take an older driver for funding, like it was a big thing. Like you had it with yours, commercial pool. Like Courtney had commercial pool for a long time. Winterbottom did. All those guys that a sponsor would go, well, maybe they're not winning every weekend, but they've got commercially they're good. So there's been this massive change this year, or in the last probably 3-4 years of young guys coming in. Like, you think?
It's your fault and your fault. No, you've really got to take your head off to Barry and someone like Barry, and he still does it. As he already knows what the old driver can do. He's seen every trick that guy's got, right?
Yep.
So let's find out what a Brodie Kostecki can do, or Will Brown, or Zach Bates, Ryland Gray. We don't know what they can do till you actually go, show us what you can do.
Yep.
And quite often it's going to be something different. Like in Brodie's case, he does stuff that people haven't really thought about before, like Jamie Whincup found out. That's what you want to see. So, and we don't have a Denny Hamlin 44-year-old driver in Australia still performing at that elite level.
Yep.
So our racing's different because you've got to qualify at the front and be up the front. But I think Chaz could probably do that, still be here in 10 years and still be doing that. So that's, I think they get, as I mentioned before, you get old and you get slow. Let's put a new one in.
Yep.
It's a bit different in America too, because they race 36 times a year and they literally race every single week and they have 1 or 2 week break in the middle, whereas we race, the 14, 15 rounds a year, and then we have 4 weeks, for example, between the next race. And like for me, I do heaps of sim racing and try to fill my time. I'll go race.
There you go. I think you've worked it out.
Yeah, so then the younger guys fill their time more with, I guess, newer activities or race more. And I feel like as you get older, you start to, you just become lazy.
Yeah. And you
just have to have experience. But you're talking about sim, and I was never a big sim guy, but I've definitely seen with someone like Link Taylor or Cade Davey, those sort of young kids, that they don't have to test a lot. I said, just go and work out where the track goes on the sim, and then let's just drive at Norwell and take that to the track and then fire, and they do. So maybe you used to have a lot of laps at Bathurst to know how to drive around Bathurst, but now you can just work out where it goes on the sim.
Yeah, it is. It's been and I wonder, I think there's a few elements of young guys coming in doing a good job. Sim, that all the young guys coming in are good, but also I think Gen 3 as well. I think
true.
The cars are more even now. You used to come in with even in our case, Erebus was quite a successful team, but they weren't winning all the time like Triple Eight. They were winning a few races with Reynolds and that, but you didn't have the same equipment as the guy down the road a lot of the time.
Everyone's got the same car, same engine, same stuff.
You roll in, even look at the job Aaron Cameron's doing. He rolls in with BRT. He's got all our setup, and with BRT, that a team, not being rude to them, they were last, weren't they, in the team's championship last year?
Yeah.
So you're rolling in with the team that was last, and you've got all the same gear as us, where that used to be, I remember when I was trying to get in 2017 or 18, I got offered an LDM drive. You didn't have the same stuff as Triple Eight in an LDM car, did you? So,
well, you thought you did.
Yeah. But it's more even these days. You can show your skill now, can't you? A lot of the time.
Yeah, everyone. You know that you've got the same car, so it's just how where you put the settings. So the other thing with young guys coming in now too, they don't really care. I think it's like, I don't care if I upset someone or whatever. They're like, they haven't looked up and gone, oh, that's everyone used to respect Craig Lowndes. Oh, if I got round Craig Lowndes, I better be nice to Craig Lowndes and not race him that hard. So it's changed a bit. Now it's like, oh, if I get near that guy, I'm just going to show him how good I am. So I think that's changed a bit as well.
I'd definitely say that's
true. Like when you say that now, you
Yeah.
think about it. And I used to, when we got in 21, I'd be like, when I won that race at Sydney, I'm like, wow, that's SVG and Jamie Whincup behind me. What am I going to do here?
Oh, I better follow him and learn off him.
Yeah.
Now it's like, I'm going to run you over.
Yeah, I can't. I can't think of a single person I think that of now. Yeah, literally, it's like, yep, this guy's gone.
Because their status isn't anymore as a driver. So Lowndesy's the last guy that the people general public would recognise. You know,
Yeah, yep.
You walk down the street and go, name me a race car driver. They're going to go Craig Lowndes.
Yeah, it is amazing these days.
So I remember my first ever touring car race. I pulled up on the back of Peter Brock and my legs started shaking. I was that nervous. I was like, oh, I can't believe I'm behind Peter Brock. This is unbelievable. It's like I was behind God.
Literally.
Yeah.
And what they say the sport hasn't dropped off, but why do you think that's dropped off so much? Like drivers aren't as much a household names anymore.
I think it's when we came off free to air. Like a lot of people didn't have pay TV or KO and weren't on Fox, and people used to watch it. Oh, the V8s are on Sunday. We're going to have a barbecue. We're going to get the mates round. We're going to watch it. And you had those 10 years where we didn't have good free-to-air TV and we just lost the viewership. People got used to doing different things. Now that's changed. You know, people will watch it and pay to watch it, or they're going to stream it or whatever. But that transition time where that core group of fans have just gone and done something else.
Yeah, that makes sense. And I remember people saying, like a lady I used to know, she's like, oh, yeah, when it was on free to air, I'd be doing my ironing and just put it on because she's like, I just had it was just easy to access. But unfortunately, you lose all those fans that just were.
It's probably not relevant now.
Yeah.
Because I can't remember the last time I watched free to air TV. But that block of time there where we didn't have it to transition to where we are now is probably what's hurt us.
It just happened too early, really.
Yeah, it seemed, well, if it was final system or like you say, if it's, you nearly have to, you're paying for KO nearly for NRL and some of those ones now as well. Like there's a lot more reasons to buy, pay TV these days.
It's convenience. You'll go, oh, yep, that's what I want to watch. I want to watch it then, how you want to watch it on your phone, and you just do it like pay-per-view.
Yep.
I got my credit card statement the other day, and over Christmas I'd spent nearly $600 on pay-per-view.
Yeah, right.
So that's how you watch all the sprint cars.
Yeah.
But I'm like, what great value.
Yeah.
I got to sit on my couch and watch all that cool sprint car racing and had a ball. So you'd think about it different. I didn't think, I wish that was on free to air. So.
That's true. And I definitely noticed it, like, since, do you reckon it was final system or Bathurst, like I think the viewership and just the amount of people, even that notice us now and all that.
You had the whole thing that keeps the sport together is Bathurst, right?
Yep.
Without that, it all falls down, right down to club level. So you had a ripper Bathurst, big viewership, talking about the finals. Then you had that run into the finals. You had a lot of eyeballs on the sport. So pretty good. But you need to keep that coming.
Well, I was thinking about this like a year ago when they were talking about promoting the sport. And nearly every driver on the grid has had a standout Bathurst moment. Like if that's Brodie won there last year, 21 my first year ever. The year before, 21, I got a provisional pole there. I can't see why Supercars don't just clip up a piece of, footage for each driver, send it to them of their best moment there and say, can you put this out on all your social media and say, Bathurst coming up, best one yet or something. Like we just don't as drivers.
Who runs Supercars socials?
There's a few guys that run it, but
you wouldn't. Do you know?
Oh, I do know a couple of them, like Brent and that. They did the other day, send some people up to do some filming, but I just can't.
There's been a big shift with Warbo.
There has been a shift. I've definitely noticed it now. Go back a year ago, I wouldn't have known anyone. Like I wouldn't have at all interacted with them. So there's been a shift now, but I just can't understand, like you say, before the drivers definitely used to be and still are the face, but back then they were household names. But you don't really get used a lot to try and promote stuff, I wouldn't say. Like, would you say the same?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
I think it's definitely trending the right way now, though.
Yeah.
But I don't think that's a championship's responsibility to do that. Like
I sort of agree with Paul on this.
To promote it?
No, that was always driven by, in Dick Johnson's case, doing the Shell ads. I don't, you probably do, but him and Barry Sheen used to do these ripper ads for Shell, and they were people had just watched the ads just to watch them. So, and you had Brocker do the mobile ads. So you had the sponsors spending money in advertising, lifting the whole sport. So,
and there's still that there now.
Red Bull, obviously, you see what Red Bull for their activations. That's not the championship driving that. That's the sponsor lifting the whole sport. So,
yep, 100%.
Yeah,
kind of need everyone doing it at the end of the day a little bit. Like,
I think the championship socials should be there to promote the racing, and this is a highlight. Like, and I go to the Grand Prix, and I'm watching you walk down, and you're trying to talk to Aaron Cameron, and you end up having a conversation with Timmy Blanchard. I'm like, why isn't there someone from Supercars with the phone there filming that and putting that up on Instagram so I can watch what the hell happened? Right?
Yep.
If that happens in NASCAR,
they're straight on.
It's on my phone straight away.
Yeah, so, it's everywhere.
Yeah. I don't want to be listening to the commentators talk about who got 1 5-second penalty. I want to be watching Will Brown and Aaron Cameron talk about how they're going to sort it out.
Yep. No, 100%.
That's what I want to see.
Yeah.
And it was pretty good content. Right?
100%. Yeah, I'd watch all
that.
What
did you say to him?
No, nothing bad. No, I was actually quite good about it because I'm not one that super fires up, and I didn't know exactly whose fault it was. Like, I was probably more fired up over the Chaz one, but I didn't go down and really see Chaz. I saw him at the stewards after. Yeah, I was a fair bit shorter than him. I thought if we get into it, I'm probably going to get pummeled here. So go down and talk to Aaron instead.
That's what you want to see, right?
No, definitely, and that's. Wow, that's a lot of sports. You used to watch NRL for all the biff and that, and that died off a bit, and you stop watching a little bit, don't you? So you want to see all the controversy.
You do.
Yeah. No, it's interesting. Anything else that we've got that's supercar related we want to talk about in this one?
I think we've covered off a fair bit.
Yep.
Yeah, a fair bit. What's your thoughts going into the doubleheader at New Zealand?
I think it's going to be interesting. I reckon at Ruapuni you're going to have to think a bit old school, how you engage someone.
Yeah.
Like,
I know what you're talking about here.
Yeah, if you look at, well, I've raced there 15 years ago, and it looks like there hasn't been much improvements to the safety factor. But that's New Zealand tracks. You know, you still have earth-filled tyre walls and things that if you bounce off them, they're going to start ripping cars apart, and you're going to bounce back into traffic and stuff like that. So you're going to have to go there and go, well, I'm going to have to drive accordingly.
Yeah, it's funny how you don't. You know, I've just come back from New Zealand. I was there on Friday and drove Ruapuna, and it was raining. And you know how you get the rivers that run across the track. There was plenty of those going on. So there's drainage issues and some other things going on as well. But sometimes you take for granted what we have here at home in Australia. Like Motorsport Australia have done such a great job, lifting all the tracks around that we go to. Because it wasn't too long ago that QR was not a FIA rated track.
It is amazing that QR is
the same rating as Ruapuna.
Yep, after you go there.
Yeah.
It's pretty wild.
Yeah, I know. but you go to Terratonga and you did you watch any of the, well, you were in it a couple of years ago. You're driving the car going, well, I better not go off here.
Literally, right? Yeah.
You go to QR and you're like, you don't care where you go off.
Yeah. No, 100%.
Because you know you're going to be all right. So but Oran Park used to be like that. Lakeside's probably still like that. There's Phillip Island, a couple of corners are still like that. So you're probably going to have to drive around thinking, I better be a bit careful on this part of the track.
Yeah. I think the hardest thing about Ruapuna, I don't know what you thought about the surface. Like, it was only my own opinion, but it didn't look super coarse, like it was going to deg hard. So, and it's quite a tight track. So I think it's going to be quite hard. Like when we went to Taupo originally, it was like, oh, it's a tight track. The racing might not be great. But then once again, the deg created really good racing and actually made it super interesting. But I don't know if you're going to get that over there. Like it's a tight track with what looks like it's old surface, but it looks quite smooth.
I don't think it'll deg too much, but hey, we've got bumpers.
Yeah, well,
yeah.
I don't think you'll have a choice but to use them over there. Like literally every corner flows onto the next corner without actually.
There'll be chain reactions. A lot of those corners you'd just be able to move someone out of the way and say you're the guy in the middle, won't you?
I just worry if that does happen and, like the interlocking wheel thing, because obviously people run a lot of people out of road. And if there's an interlocking wheel, which we still have the wheels, you're going to come to a sudden, like we're talking maybe 15 metres and there's just an earth wall there.
Like out of the middle hairpin, that right-hander, like the long one, do you mean
Even
as well?
like down the back straight, going to the last corner.
Main straight.
Yeah. So for the people watching, the problem with the earth-filled tyre bank is when you hit it, it just stops the car.
Yeah.
And if it's a concrete wall, you'll slide along it.
Yep.
So
Yeah, it's worse. You'd rather have a shunt at Gold Coast straight into a concrete wall because you just slide. It's like the one.
where you're just going to get caught
And all the big braking zones, we have quite a bit of runoff and like 20 stacks of tyres. So if you have a brake failure, for example, Gold Coast, at any of the corners with the big braking zones, you just hold it dead straight and you're running into a stack of 30 wide tyres.
You're just going to punch it in.
Yeah, you just got to punch it in. Whereas at Ruapuna, I think it might be taking a trip to the cemetery.
So,
Some of the corners, yeah.
so we've both driven there. Where do you think you can pass? Like, I don't think there's many opportunities at all. Like you say, unless you get the bumper out. But you go to a lot of tracks here, like Sydney Motorsport Park. I'll switch this guy back
Into
here.
that
I'll do that.
hairpin,
I don't think you're even into that hairpin. It's so tight.
It's so hard because you have to complete every pass at that corner because the next corner leads onto another one.
Yeah.
So you literally have to almost crash into someone to make a pass.
It's not like a left-hander and another left-hander. You don't have the inside
like you
for the
can't
next corner.
position yourself, and it's going to be, I reckon most of the passing you do is going to be 50-50.
Oh, I can't think of a place around there nearly that it's going to be 100%, yeah, I'm just going to pass this. You know what I mean? Like, I actually was trying to think about it recently. Like, even turn one, that looks like it's a bit wider, but the problem is it's turning while
get down to
braking.
Norwell and start practicing some
Yeah, that's right. I'm hoping to come down in the next week before I go. So,
You need to be front row Joe there.
yeah. No, that's 100% it. Like, qualifying is going to be, I think, nearly everything over there.
Yeah, it will be.
Yeah.
Aaron Cameron?
My last qualifying's all good. I'm just going to bank on that.
Aaron Cameron could be on.
Yeah, he's been doing a good job.
He's a good qualifier.
Yep.
Yeah. Where do you think he's going wrong at the moment?
Well, you guys are right. When I watch it, I just think he doesn't really understand who he's racing. So, when I watched you and Brock race, you both knew each other's game so much. So I think he just needs to learn how to lift his intensity in the racing and just understand who he's around.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. You got to pick. You got to pick and choose when to be aggressive, and
I think he showed like everyone. I think everyone knows how he's going to race hard because of Adelaide last year when he qualified. Remember, he qualified right up there, and everyone thought, he would be pretty keen just for a result, and he raced super hard. And I think that sort of got everyone. He's going to race hard, but unfortunately, he's probably not just picking the right moments.
The last race at the Grand Prix looked like he said, so I got to finish top 5 or something. Then it looked like he got a puncture or something, did he? So we didn't really see whether he improved his racecraft, but I think he will. Like, you can't be that good at qualifying, and he's been pretty good in everything he's ever raced, right?
That's true. Yeah. I grew up racing him in everything, and he was always very fast.
Yeah, so I'm a big fan of Aaron's. I think I don't mind that he's racing hard and getting stuck into it, and I'm sure once he understands how things work and gets the hang of it, he'll be good.
The thing is, that's just experience. Like, he's qualifying well and all that. He's going to work it out.
That's the hardest
buckle
bit.
turn. Yeah, that's the hardest bit.
Really, to be honest.
Once he gets a bit more experience under his belt and all that, he'll be fine.
When's he going to get his first win then? Ruapuna?
I don't know.
This year? I reckon he'll sneak one this year.
I don't know. I don't think so this year, but maybe. Like, he's qualifying up there. That definitely gets the lead off the start. He
we
can
got
win a
Tassie
race
and stuff
for sure.
coming up with the short races, and
Yep.
What's his weakness when you're behind him then?
I think I don't know. In the race, I find people, and I don't know if it's just but generally, I guess I've been qualifying bad and coming through, and I find a few people make a few mistakes. Like, you're just little ones,
little errors.
Like, even like when I broke behind him, it looked like I took him out in that race down at turn 3, but I actually didn't. And I think it took a bit of the way the Mustang is, and that it took a bit of air off his rear, but he spun. Like, I find a few people out there actually make a few small errors, and if you don't make, and I make small errors, everyone does at the end of the day, but if you limit them, how many times throughout a race when you're younger do you make 10 errors over the race that are all worth 3/10 each? So there's 3 seconds over the race that you've lost to someone like Brock or
and that's not even like
Brodie. You know, any of those guys that when you're younger, like 2021, 2022, I would have been making all those mistakes. And then last year or 24 or that when, you know, I won the championship, you make a lot less mistakes.
Well, you recognise it's about to happen and do something about
That's
it before
right.
it becomes
Instead of
bigger.
when you're going in too deep, pressing the brake harder and locking up and going off, you release it and just miss the corner by a foot, where when you were younger, you would have pushed the brake harder, locked up, gone past the corner. And I find that a few of these guys make those mistakes that, throughout the race, they might be losing 5 seconds throughout the race. And I'm not saying Aaron's exactly doing this or everyone's doing this, but you do notice that, I think, in the pack a bit more.
We have been back there a lot.
No, it's a good point. So since you were at Erebus with Brodie to how you drive now, how much better have you got as like those less mistakes?
See, I wouldn't
more
say
understanding. What's that? 3 years of racing?
3 years of racing. Like you look at our career. Like even Brodie win the championship in 23, and then me in 24. But you go back to 21, and I think we had a steep learning curve. I don't know why, but maybe because we were teammates, and I think we were both very fast. We had to learn at a fast rate to try and beat the other one, because you know what I mean. We could both qualify at that, you know, up a bit further, and had to race well. But I reckon those mistakes, like, you know, God, I reckon I make them 5 to 10% of the time of what I used to. You know what I mean? Like, I remember smoking front tire. I remember coming out for a race, going into turn 1 or something with cold tires and just smoking a front, and then you've got a, you know, flat spot. I remember doing that to Anton when I was co-driving. You come out of the pits and you go, I got to get the tires up and flat spot on the first lap, and you got to drive a whole stint with a flat spot. And I think that the guys that are now winning races, you know, consistently, or won championships, Chaz, all those guys, Matt Payne even, like, they're just not making the mistakes that I think some of the other guys are. And in the race, in qualifying, that doesn't show up. People can do one lap, but in the race,
when the tire's underneath you, you can...
It's slowly, and that builds. You make one mistake and then you end up making another, don't you? You think, I've got to catch that up, or I'm on the dirty stuff, and then you make another one the next corner. So I just find, like, I don't know, I could be wrong, but a lot of guys...
No, I think you're right.
Yeah.
I think you really broke that down for us.
Yeah, thanks for
that. I think you're starting to overthink it.
Something I'm good at.
Good. No, it was good.
No. Well,
that's what it looks like. So,
that's what I saw.
And I'm not in it, but that's what it...
But even Aaron said, like, when he made that spin in front of me, he's like, I just made a silly rookie mistake. You know what I mean? And I feel like that's things, you know, when I was leading in 23 at Grand Prix, I did the same. And it's just a learning curve at 20... Now at Grand Prix, I know how dirty it is offline. I don't try to go around the outside now. So it's just all those little things I think you slowly build up, and used to be like those guys you're saying we idolise, like Jamie Whincup and all those guys wouldn't be making those mistakes, would they? So I think you just learn that over the time.
Good
point. Well, we should probably get stuck in our Q&As.
You should be a driver coach or something.
I'll get a job at Norwell here. Let me go. I reckon we generally finish off with a Q&A. So we've asked fans for a few questions for you, and we're going to lead into that. So the first one we have is, what happened to the Enforcer and the Dude, or the show?
Well, it was always Russell Ingall's baby.
Yep.
And I think he'd set out what he wanted to prove.
Yep.
Showed Supercars that he could make a better show than they could. Done it, run its course, and he's happy just doing his thing.
Yep.
So it was a big show.
Yeah, it was.
It was huge.
Yeah, it was. So and look, Russell's the one that did all the work, not me. I just used to roll in and let him do his thing. But yeah, it's an enforcer question. But he's just being the enforcer, doing what he does, flipping houses.
Yeah, nice.
You should get him on.
Yeah, actually we should. That's a good point. Definitely should.
He can tell you.
Well, this one, would you bring back the H pattern to make supercars harder to drive?
I don't think I would. No, I don't think I would. I remember why we went to the sequential, because I was there when the decision was made. It's just to stop missed shifts and blowing motors up, and save the teams a bit of money, because every now and again you'd miss one. So
I think the H pattern to sequential shift is a bit of a shift, but like sequential to paddle would just be like, it's just...
We had 6-speed H patterns with shift cuts on them, so you're holding it flat, you just Every now and again, you'd go second to first.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yep. That's like
there you
when
go.
I did the
new motor.
Xfinity. Yeah. You're always trying to not miss one, and then you miss one. You go,
that's
I
only
didn't
four.
burn and got it worse.
Huh?
That's only 4 gears.
Yeah, I know. It was quite hard over there because they turned their hand this way to go across, so they actually flipped their hand. But I couldn't. I don't know why. If I'm just flexibility, I couldn't flip it. So it was actually quite hard to get because your hand's not wanting to push that way from this angle. So they flip them over.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
So is that when you did the Xfinity, when you tried?
Yeah.
Yep.
When I did that one.
But
so.
yeah, that was more a cost-saving thing for the teams when we went sequential. Just like you'd be doing dogs and gears in a box. Like you'd go through 2 boxes in a meeting sometimes.
Yeah, right. So it would have been costly. What's the best path to a professional career these days?
In Australia,
Yeah, we'll go Australia. Yep.
well, success leaves clues, and I think it's the GR86 series for sure. Just because of the way it's run and what you learn there. It used to be Formula Ford. Is Formula Ford a better car to learn about racing cars? Yeah, it is, but all the good guys aren't in it.
Yep.
So
Not as competitive now.
it's not as competitive. Like you look at Ollie Wickham, won the 86 series. He's doing Formula Ford now, and just straight to the front. The field's not as stacked. So definitely that, and it's just the investment Toyota put into it and the way it's run. Like you're a product of it. You just learn how to operate. Right, you're on the Supercars program. The way they run that series, and this is a credit to Neil Crompton and what he does, is the product that comes out the end is a successful racing driver.
Yeah. Yeah, I found that I was lucky to do it because I never planned on doing it. I was lucky to get in with Neil Bates and that, but it was an awesome championship. And Toyota, they subsidise it. That's one thing. Like it was. I don't know if they still do, but I remember
They
back
do.
then-
Well, you look at what Toyota do and look what Ford have done with that Mustang Cup. Yep. So there's a Ford Mustang that's $300,000 and your entry fees $40,000 a year, and your tyre bills probably $4,000 a round.
Yep.
Where the 86 is $110,000 with entry fee.
Yeah,
When you
right.
buy the car, your tyre bill's $1,000 a weekend, and
Affordable.
it's affordable, and it produces good racing drivers.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, like you say, with the success side, you can sort of see 86s these days into Super 2. I don't know. There's probably not a lot more pathways into supercars than Super 2, really. Would you say? Like, who's...
I think it goes back to what Paul said. You've got to be in with the best people. Like
Yeah.
you got to
Yeah.
push yourself. It's like when COVID happened, we're all racing Excels.
Yep.
Like
And you're
Yeah.
all getting better still because
Yeah,
you're racing
we're
against
all
good
still getting
guys. You
better.
had to work out how to get better.
that's right.
Yeah, and you can still go and do 86. You can pull up on your open trailer with your dad, and if you half know how a car works, you don't have to be a genius.
Yep.
You can win races. It's not elitist.
Oh, that's very true.
Very true. Yep. Are we oversaturating the amount of support categories we have in Australia, you think?
Yeah, well, you can have the categories, but you can't put them all on at the same race meeting, because you get to the point where if you have one safety car, you don't get all your laps. So you can't try and, because people aren't coming through the front gate anymore, and the race meeting doesn't really stack up on ticket sales anymore. They're trying to cover their costs by
Entrants and family members and
by putting on more support categories. So I think there's too many at a race meeting. You've got to plan for something not going right. They can't have all the categories there and expect to. But the strongest market force will work out if there's too many or not, won't it?
Yeah, over time.
That's true. It's probably big. That's probably something that's a lot different to America when you go to a Cup Series race. You know that they start at 12 or 1 o'clock. When they have their qualifying, and then they have the Xfinity race after. But the people get there at 9 o'clock in the morning. They're barbecuing at the back of their but there's no racing going on. But they're all still having a good time.
Oh yeah,
We don't have that
But
culture.
they're used
here.
to that, and we're used to getting there and watching all those races. So, but it's an interesting one.
I think it's just making sure that, like you were saying before, is that I remember being a young fella and your parents are doing everything to fund it, and then you bloody go out there and one car crashes and you get 3 laps of racing because it's time certain, it's too many categories on. You need to make sure, I think, they get the laps, like especially Toad 86. You used to see that for a bit there. They a couple of years ago crashed at Townsville a couple of times and got no laps for the weekend.
It does happen. Happened with the Trans Ams at Adelaide last year. And so, yeah, you just got to have some time there for something to go wrong.
Yep. And last one, what's your funniest story of young Brodie? Someone's asked.
Young Brodie.
Oh, no.
Oh, Brodie. We'll just go Brodie in general.
Well, his funniest story?
Yeah.
When he ran the pontoon boat out of fuel.
I knew he was going to bring this up.
I don't know. I've heard this story, and I don't know how much of this story we can tell, but...
Anton and Brodie were doing a bit of nocturnal cruising with some friends of theirs.
And when you had to go save them?
Huh?
You had to go save them?
They ran the boat out of fuel, yeah.
But Paul was pretending to be our butler and told us that he just filled it up.
Is that right, boss? She's full of fuel.
Oh, that's fantastic. Well, I guess we'll leave it at that before it gets too out of control. But thanks for coming on. We appreciate you coming up and doing it for us. No, all good. And I'm sure everyone's keen to hear.
How long have we been going?
I think it's been about an hour and 15.
Oh,
yeah, it goes for a while. So, I hope everyone enjoyed the episode, and we'll get over to New Zealand, I guess. So we'll try and hopefully do an episode over there for everyone because it's 2 weeks away, and see what we can come up with.
Sounds good. See you there.